A very good evening and welcome this edition of the Fourth Estate. Charles Mwangushampagi. Tonight, 11th of September 2016, is exactly 15 years since the attacks using planes by terrorists on the Twin Towers in New York City and the Pentagon, which has actually changed a lot of the discussions. A lot of commemorative events have been taking place, especially in the United States and across the world, of the victims, but we know too well in Uganda how that has reverberated. It is also a week after Uganda, after 38 years of waiting, celebrated the qualification of the Uganda Cranes to the Africa Cup of Nations, which will take place between January and February next year. The qualification of the Uganda Cranes, after 38 years, will be asking the question, has government invested adequately in sports over the years? What has been happening? And with us to discuss that tonight, let me first introduce the gentleman who stood in for me, or sat in for me last Sunday when I was away, Ismail Dakawa Chigongo. You're most welcome.
Good evening, Charles. Good evening, the viewers.
Thank you. We have the man who, I don't know if he delivered the Cranes qualification. We'll be asking the hard questions. You know, a week after qualification, the hard questions are coming now. Is the coach paid? Is government investing? What has it done? Are we just relying on talent? We'll be asking those questions. And the man to answer those questions is the Minister of State in charge of sports, Charles Bakabulindi. You're most welcome.
Good evening, my namesake. Good evening, dear viewers.
And of course, my colleague, Ivan Okuda, who is a journalist at the Daily Monitor and a student of law at Makerere University Law School. You're most welcome.
Thank you, Charles, and good evening, Uganda.
Thank you. Let me start with the Minister. We've just qualified after 38 years. Lo and behold, the first thing we see is, even in the week of celebration, we see the traditional scandals associated with sports re-emerging. How did you feel as minister that the first thing we see after qualification is a row over the payment to the national football team coach?
First and foremost, we are happy and very proud that we qualified after 38 years. Secondly, always a lot of excitement is associated with different issues. And one of them could be different complaints after people getting excited. Because even before the qualifications, if the coach is demanding for salary for 5 months, why is it that earlier or before the qualification, nobody was mentioning about it? So that means the excitement of the qualification has brought all this. But nevertheless, it's human beings to handle, and I think we shall handle it. Yeah. So
is there any merit in his complaint? My colleague Patrick Kamara hosted the president of FIFA on Thursday, and Mr. Magogo placed the responsibility squarely on your doorstep as government for payment of coach Sredijovic Multin Micho, as we call him.
You know, first and foremost, I did public administration. And before one complains, or one makes a comment, you have to know what you are complaining about and what is the procedure. First and foremost, as a workers' representative, there is merit for the coach to complain. It's the constitutional obligation that when one works, must be paid. There is no shortcut on that. Secondly, if you say you hosted the president of FIFA and he squarely put the blame on the government does not operate like a private company. The government does not operate like a shop owner. The first question is, does the coach belong to the government? Has the government get any obligation with the coach? Did the coach sign an agreement with the government? Because the government, whoever is concerned as a minister, have to make an accountability. Now, if it is Cranes which signed the contract with the coach, then the whole burden is is FIFA. If it is the FIFA which signed the contract with the coach. So while the FIFA may have a failure or a problem of paying the coach, that's a different issue of requesting the government to come on their rescue. But saying the problem is square on the government, that is totally misleading.
So as a workers' representative, as a minister responsible for the sports docket, is the merit is on one side, but the facts. does FUFA or the Cranes or the government of Uganda owe the national team coach any money?
There is a difference between the Cranes and the FUFA. The contract, the obligation, the binding bond between the coach and the FUFA is pure the FUFA's affairs. And it's not the first time.
Could you please answer my question?
Yes.
Is the coach owed money? Is the coach owed money?
The coach?
Yes.
That's what I hear.
That's what you hear?
Yes.
And do you know, as the minister in charge of that docket,
that what?
Who owes him money?
No, but what I hear, what I've just learned from the newspapers after confine, that FUFA hasn't been paying their coach. That's all.
Okay.
And I've not even stopped
and this is the coach who is responsible for taking the national team to the AFCON qualifiers?
Of course. Of course.
And you claim credit for that. You celebrated just as we began the show. You said
my credit
you're happy that
my
we have
credit does
qualified.
not come from the coach alone.
It comes
there
from?
are so many factors. There are so many factors which contribute to somebody's success.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Because that's what we're going to be exploring.
Exactly.
Dakaba, let me come to you quickly. This controversy about the coach, is it just a distraction from a celebration? Is there something more serious that we're trying to deal with here?
First of all, it's extremely unfortunate. And many times when I've read the Mitchell story again and again, and I've not been one of those who has covered it squarely, when I read it again and again, many times my mind runs back to all Ugandans who work and never get paid. Because I'm not one of those who goes out to loudly criticize that FUFA haven't paid. It's unfortunate for everyone who works and doesn't get paid, and luckily he's a workers minister and also the sports minister.
But the workers MP and sports
workers
minister.
MP and sports minister. But on the other hand, I think one of the things that the thing I read from this is probably the cry that sports federations have had in this country. That when you hire a foreign coach, especially the foreign coaches that come to Africa, in many of the countries, they become civil servants. The government takes up the salary of these coaches. This is the case in Kenya. This is partly a case in South Africa, where they even had a chance to hire Carlos Alberto Pereira, a World Cup winner, to coach them when they hosted the World Cup in 2010. The 250,000 rand that Carlos Alberto Pereira was being paid by the South Africa Football Association was squarely at the doorstep of Jacob Zuma. And this is what happens across. I think that's what the cry that is often. But also on the other hand, besides the coach, I think it tells us a bit about the infrastructure problems of administration of sport with the people who are charged with manning the federation, and probably a lot more, because the coach is probably the smallest thing about the structure of sport in Uganda, because that's the coach is like the pinnacle. There's a lot more. There's a lot with the facilities that people in government do give away to shopping malls that are empty at the top. There are bigger problems with the coaching, because like you said before, when you introduced in the show, do we qualify because of talent, or do we qualify because we have a process? And I can squarely say we qualify because of the talent. That's why I think many of us are preoccupied with the result and not the process. Many people would love to enjoy the result, which is qualification. But no one has concern about the process.
Okay.
And this is what falls squarely on the doors of the administrators like the minister here and the people who run the federations.
Okay, I'll come to the minister in a bit. Let me just come to Ivan briefly. When you read this, you and I report current affairs, politics, and other things, not less of sports. But when you hear all of this, and you see the image of one of the best images, I think I was looking at it reproduced in the East African for tomorrow, the image of the First Lady, who is now Minister of Sports, Education and Sports, the image of the Minister for General Duties, Karolo Krut, the image of the Minister for Kampala, Betty Olive Kamia, and the image of the State Minister for Youth and Culture, Nachiwala Chiyinji, celebrating a Cranes success story. And you see the outrage, the befuddlement that we saw on social media because of the controversy about payment of the coach, even before you finish the celebration. And the different explanations, because when you listen to the minister now telling you who is responsible, that's marks of kicking the can to the next person. I watched the FUFA president, Magogo, and he was kicking the can at someone else. What do you feel? How do you feel about it? What does it tell you?
Well, I think for me, like my colleague Ismail Deka was eloquently stated, it's simply a mirror of the malaise, the incompetence, the unseriousness, and the impunity on the part of the men and women that run the affairs to do with sports in this country. So much that you can have a minister, whom I must say we're grateful to have at this late hour of the weekend on this show, a minister like Mr. Bakabulindi there, coming and speaking so casually, so leisurely, and so unconcernedly about a matter as serious as the administration of sports, with specific reference to the payment of the coach, and says, I just read in the newspapers, for crying out loud, you are the minister in charge of sports in the country, that you can read about the plight of the coach, which by the way is not a secret. It's the battle between Mitchell, because I had a chat with Mitchell on the Cafe Morning Show. The battle between Mitchell and FUFA, or the entire sports management in this country, is not new. They've been pulling the rope. They've been, in fact, to the point of him threatening to leave the country and take up about 6 other offers from 6 other countries. So it's not new. So I want to put it to the minister that he's actually being dishonest to Ugandans, and he's looking them right in the eye, and looking into the camera and saying, I just read in the newspapers. Let's be serious about some of these things.
Minister,
Because it's almost 5 days.
No, I think I think I need to come here.
Mr. Minister, the question we're asking, as you can see on the screen, is have you as government abdicated your responsibility?
No, I think I need to come here and be clear to some people. We should not be excited for the sake of getting excited because we can fight on Sunday. No.
Nobody's excited.
No. Let's go and follow the procedure. You know how government runs. You got my point? Today you have been reading newspapers where the IGG is investigating the recruitment of UNERA. If we are to own the coach, he was, my friend here was quoting South Africa, Zambia, Kenya, and I could. But the first question you should even go deeper: how do they come to be involved with the coach? Let's be sincere. So I don't know. Let me first explain. No. I need to explain this.
I understand.
Government procedure. Yes. You must be involved in the procurement.
Thank you very much.
Government procedure is not rocket science, Honorable Minister. In other words,
let me tell you one thing.
Hold it for a moment. Honorable Minister.
What we need here is to understand each other.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that I'm not concerned about the coach. I'm so much concerned.
I think what Ivan is saying is that the story broke 5 days ago, and by Sunday you're saying you're still reading the papers.
That I'm talking casually. I'm not supposed to be crying here. No.
I'm saying you're not being serious.
Because
up to now you're saying
the screen.
Up to now you're saying
I want to teach.
I just read it.
Let him finish.
Please
let him make his point. Go ahead.
So that before we continue with that argument, you need to listen to me. And this is what I've been telling FUFA. What are other countries which have been quoted? What did they do? The government got involved in the procurement of a coach. And you have to make an accountability at the end of the day. Secondly, there must be those ones, both local and international, who can complain that we have been left out because of the tendering and the procurement has been bad. Now, this is the process that was purely done by FUFA. And our concern was, FUFA, if you want us to help you, we must be involved from the word go.
Thank you. Hold it, Ismail. Mr. Minister.
Yes.
The bigger question, the Cranes qualification is a microcosm. The fight between FUFA and the coach is a small thing about sports.
Yes.
Ugandans have been looking to you and government and saying, you invite winners to State House once they have won.
Yes.
You invite them to Parliament once they have won. What is your responsibility as a government, as a minister, towards sports beyond Uganda Cranes?
Can I explain that?
Yes.
This way the perception is wrong. This is what I am saying. People get excited when there is a win only. They don't come to dig further. You are saying we invite the winners only. You got my point? Let me give you a very good example.
Go ahead.
Are you aware that government is involved in the national primary competitions? Are you aware that government is involved?
In what way is it involved?
In what ways?
In financing it.
How much
are you aware? No, wait. Are you aware that government is involved in the secondary schools competition for East Africa? Even as we talk now, we were second in Eldoret. Who sponsored them?
What is your
Now,
involvement?
by the time we come, by the time we come to pick who would be at the national level, you should also go further and see what the government has done.
What has the government done?
Even as we are talking now, we are embarking on the infrastructure. Do you know how much we have spent on the attitude training center?
How much?
More than 6 billion.
More than 6 billion.
Yes.
Honourable Minister.
What's the level of construction?
Hold it.
Yes.
What's the level of construction now?
Yeah.
Where
The
the
level.
construction reached?
Attitude training center in Tereti, as we talk now, apart from the road, electricity has reached. The infrastructure of the school is there. Nani, what has reached?
What is the level of construction?
The what?
What level has the construction?
They are
No, you see, when we are talking about the level, I'm talking to you so far the steps which have been covered.
Honourable Minister.
Yes.
Let's go step by step.
Yes.
Teriet High Altitude Training Center, promised by government after Kiprotich.
actually way
One,
before that.
no,
In 2010,
in 2010
promised.
after
Yes.
the Delhi
Yes.
Kipsiro,
When
Yes.
after the
Kipsiro
Delhi
Yes.
competitions.
But we are running a cash
just a
budget.
moment,
You are aware
just a
of
moment,
that?
just a moment.
Yes.
Because you can take all of us together and our viewers
Yes.
on a ride telling us things you have
No,
done.
no.
Just a
I'm
moment.
listening to you.
Just a moment. Teriet, 2010 you promised it. Only this budget, you are allocating 5.8 billion, is it?
Only this budget.
This budget, in this budget, that's when you're allocating 5.8 billion.
In the last budget, there
In
was
the last
nothing.
budget, you graded a road, you built a school or something. Let me check.
We relocated the school.
You relocated the school.
Yes.
I'll check my notes and.
We have taken water there.
And you took water.
Yes.
There.
I did meet
We have
the
taken
engineer who was
electricity
hired
there.
to
Yes.
take the water
Yes.
And that is what you're saying.
We have,
You see,
we have acquired the
yes.
land.
5.8 billion is what you put. You promised it 2010.
Yes.
6 years later, there is no Teriet Training Center.
But
training center.
Charles, let me ask you one question. You see the problem with some of my colleagues. You talk as if you're in Europe. We are running a cash budget. Promising is one thing, and implementing is another thing, depending on the availability of resources.
Mr. Minister,
Yes.
you budgeted
Yes.
for your department 97 billion shillings.
Yes.
How much did you get
The what? 12 billion.
in the budget?
12 billion.
What percentage of 97 is 12
You
billion?
can calculate. But why did I get the 12 billion? I'm not happy with the 12 billion.
And you're telling us
Yes.
that you are concerned as a head minister for the processes that produce winning athletes in this country.
You
be it
know-
in
you know,
football,
Charles,
be it
you-
in
Charles,
yes.
there is one thing. If we are to educate the listeners, our first concern was about the coach, isn't it? And I was trying to drive you. Why this somebody from FUFA should not claim that is not a that was the responsibility of the government? Look at the contracts. These are foreign foreign professionals.
No, Minister.
You sign contracts.
We agreed
Yes.
that FUFA
But
is
you
just-
agree with me
Yes,
that the
FUFA
government is
I agree with you.
Yeah.
FUFA is just a microcosm. The fight between FUFA now and
And by the way,
coach
you don't know
is-
that you don't know that I've come into these things because I've already met the coach
You've
and
already-
I've got all the details now. And next week I'm
But
summoning
Minister,
FUFA.
a few minutes ago, you
Yes.
said you're only reading in the newspaper.
Yes.
So by meeting the coach, you're not only reading in the newspaper, so you've got to the
No, no,
bottom
no, no.
and actually had a
You
conversation.
see the problem.
And I bet
the
within
pro-
those 5 days, you've had a chance to
the
call
problem
the
I
FUFA
have.
president
The problem
and
I
speak to
have
him.
is our level of perception is different. I first get. Do you know what we call a whistleblower?
So the
If I-
whistleblower,
The whistleblower was your papers. Yes,
Okay.
was your papers.
Yeah.
Then I'm reading what is in the papers. I say, can it be possible when the FUFA is making money, is doing this and that?
Charles,
I could
Okay,
demand.
and I'm afraid we
Yes.
need to be taking a break.
Yes.
But no, we're supposed to be taking a break.
Yes.
The question, Mr. Minister, that we
Yes.
need to grapple with,
Yeah.
whether it is boxing, where we won at international competitions before with the late Wabogo, the
John the
Nyakanas,
Beast Mugabe,
John the
Ayub
Beast Mugabe,
Kalule.
Which
Ayub
year?
Kalule
Which
and
years
others.
were what?
Hold it a moment. Whether it is in athletics, in football, we are looking at government investment in processes that produce winning athletes versus people just jumping out of the woodwork out of sheer talent. And we're looking to you because you have been minister for 11 years.
Yes, and I've done a lot.
You'll give us what you've done.
You have seen medals.
No, we'll see what you have done. We'll come back to that in a moment.
Those medals
After
have
short
nothing
commercial
to do
break.
with you,
We'll be
Minister.
right back.
come well equipped with it.
You're still watching the Fourth Estate, and we're asking the question, has government abdicated its responsibility towards sports in this country? Just during the break, the minister told us he is not just a minister for football, he's a minister for sports generally with 53 disciplines. Honorable Minister, out of 53 disciplines, what are you doing with them?
How many of them are happy with you?
No, what are you doing with them?
No, there are two questions.
Yes.
How many are happy with you? What are you doing with them?
Yes.
We are doing whatever is possible to sustain them. For instance, recently we had the national netball team
Yes.
going to Australia for World Cup.
After begging and
No.
going to churches?
Either it was after begging and going to churches.
They were being a coward,
But
which I
did
was
we
part
put
of.
in money? Recently again, we had the national team for football going to represent us. Did we not put in money? No, let me not go very far. We are proud of the Cranes beating Comoros. But when we went for the first leg, who facilitated the Cranes to go to Comoros? Was it government? Why don't you calculate that?
No, you tell me.
More than 700 million.
How do you distribute your 12 billion among the 53 disciplines?
Now that's the
that you're
different question.
responsible for?
That's a different question. First of all, there is administration. And 12 is covering National Council of Sports. It's covering the administration of sports. And then what is remaining goes to the exact physical work.
National Council of Sports alone is taking out of that 12 billion almost 80%. No. I mean about 20%.
National Council of Sports is supposed to take more than that.
Yes.
Because the department which remains is supposed to cater for primary development and second development.
So, Mr. Minister, it's your admission to us
Yes.
and to our viewers here
Yes.
tonight that as government, you're not serious about sports.
The political will is there. And the government
Where is
is
the evidence of
the political will is there, and the government is serious.
Where is the
The only
evidence
question
of the
you can
political will?
say now raise that what is being contributed is not enough. There I will agree with you.
What is the evidence of the political will?
The evidence of the political will?
Yes.
I asked you a question that much as we're in Namboli celebrating our win was against Comoro, but who took the team to Comoros? Isn't it the government?
You're picking after almost finished products, Mr. Minister.
The what?
The evidence on the ground is that
Yes.
you want to shine and run with finished products. You
Yes.
don't invest in the processes that produce this.
And I've told you, we are embarking on primary competition and second competition, where majority of the products
Mr.
have come
Minister,
from.
in your 11th year as
Yes.
minister,
Yes.
you are saying you are embarking?
The what?
In your 11th year as Minister of Sports,
Yeah.
you say we are embarking, meaning you are starting?
No, not necessarily starting. You know, when we talk about developing of sports, we don't want to see it at the uppermost. Start from primary, secondly, and you see what we have been doing. In fact, in East Africa, competitions, we have been performing well.
You're touting your successes. What has been your success in 11 years?
So many gold medals have come.
How many?
It's your duty now to count.
No.
You used to be proud of one gold medal of the 1970s.
I have
but
a
now
number.
we have got more than even 15 gold
In
medals.
which competitions?
Several athletics. Yes.
Ismail, you are the guy in sports. How many gold medals have we won in 11
And
years?
it is your duty to count them by the way.
I wish I could have the number at once. but
Why do you say I wish
I
you should have them?
I know Moses Kipsiro won a gold medal at the All Africa Games in 2007 in Algeria. Then thereafter, Moses Kipsiro has gone on to win 2 more at the Commonwealth Games that were in India. Then Stephen Kiprotich did win a gold medal. If 11 years that counts, where I wonder whether the minister was
Now,
in charge
the
when
gold
Docas Nzikuru won gold in
Yes.
Helsinki
Yes.
in the steeplechase in 2005. So my off-cuff total should be, that's 3 for Kipsiro, 1 for Kiprotich, another for Nzikuru. That's about, is that 5?
5.
Now that's the
5. If okay, let's distribute 5 through the 11 years. What average of medals?
No.
do you
You
get
see,
in
this is the
11 years?
problem we
No,
have.
yeah.
across
This
tournaments.
is the problem
We've
we have.
won 1 gold medal
No.
in the Olympics,
You
Mr.
see,
Minister.
Which is the pinnacle?
This
Which
is
is the pinnacle
this is
of
the
sport.
problem we have. You are talking of gold medals of what? Even the secondary schools competition is in Kigali. We won gold medals. You don't count them?
I think you're really trivializing.
No.
the
Because
argument.
when we are saying of gold
Because,
medals, you should count
you know,
all the competitions.
there are things you cannot be minister. It's very unfortunate
Yes.
for you to come and speak to the country
That what?
and tell the world
That we are not.
that gold medals won in Kigali are equivalent. And I'm not even belittling the kids who go there and play.
Yes.
And I know the kind of tasks that the headmasters and the directors of these schools go through to invest money to get their children to those competitions. But for you to come here and then start to count the primary and secondary school gold medals
I do so.
with the one against
No. You see the problem we have. Why is it that if they want to check your academic qualifications, they insist on A level, despite the fact that you have got even PhDs? Why?
They have to go back and check.
Why? I'm
To
asking you why.
ascertain,
No,
to
because
ascertain
there
that.
should be a foundation.
Secondly,
Yes.
if my competition was primary as superb and my competition of secondaries are coming up, why don't you evaluate them?
Okay.
Just-
Yes.
No, we will. Ivan has been wanting to come.
You come in.
I had you ask the minister, and the minister respond very passionately about political will. And,
It
Mr.
is
Minister-
there.
Quote your
The political will definitely is there.
Mr.
The money
Minister,
may
you-
not be enough,
No,
but
no,
the political will is
we
there.
don't tackle here. This is
Yes.
Parliament. You can afford to be calm, Mr. Minister. I think for me, the very fact that Mr. Charles Bakabulindi
No, do you know why I'm changing my style?
Mr. Charles
Oh,
You
Bakabulindi,
said that I'm not calm, I'm talking casually. Now let me be serious.
Okay.
Yes.
that Mr. Charles Bakabulindi
Yes.
is still Minister of Sports of the Republic of Uganda.
Very much
Is
so.
in itself the most explicit expression of lack of political will towards the sector. Because for a man who for 11 years claims the success that we've registered in the sports industry, and amidst all odds, the success has happened in spite of the incompetence, in spite of the
Of the
mafia-like,
incompetence of what?
in spite of the mafia-like administration
No,
of
of the
sports.
incompetence of what?
That success has been registered in spite of the unseriousness on the part of the men and women who manage sports in this country. It's not because of you, sir. It is in spite of
Ivan,
all those
I'll
bottlenecks.
attach facts before the
What
minister
that,
even
what that
responds.
essentially means, if Ismail, is, for example, Charles, we have the National Council of Sports Act, 1964, possibly before any of
The
three
minister,
of us.
I can predict where you're going. And
Yes.
the minister will claim
Yes.
credit for having
But there is a
outed
bill.
the regulations.
But yes, but
Yes.
there's also a bill to take care
No,
of
there
the
is a
sports
pass bill.
activities.
There is a pass bill. I don't know if he's aware.
To take charge of the sports activities and all that. But what is true also is that with the latent spirit of that which the minister can take credit for, you still have the same bottlenecks which should have been addressed by the legislative function that was undertaken. So that essentially means there is something fundamentally wrong with the actors. And I don't follow sports as closely as I do with the politics of the country. But if you speak to administrators, whether be they in the media, be they in the
Administrators
in the
of
ministry,
what?
and
Of
people
sports.
who closely follow sports, the opinion of the person of Charles Bakabulindi as minister is the most pathetic. People think
No, that
you
is
are
that,
bad news.
let me
can-
first-
can you-
let
can
me
you-
first
can you allow
tell
him?
you,
Can you allow
that
him
is
to-
their perception.
Yes.
It's not perception
You
based on
mean
facts.
you
please
cannot
allow the
interpret
minister
it.
to respond.
Their perception could be wrong.
You think they're unfair to you, Mr. Minister?
Very much so, like him.
Okay.
Very much so.
Mr.
Very soon.
Minister,
No,
you need to put
wait,
facts to
wait,
this.
wait.
Please.
Very soon you are going
allow
to
the
say
minister.
the inadequacy of the cash in sports is because of Bakabulindi.
Yeah, but
that
any
to me
serious government
will
would
be
not
exposing
allocate-
your ignorance
any serious
on how
government-
the money is being.
No.
Can we have some
Yes.
civility here? Hold it,
Oh,
Ivan.
of course.
Honorable Minister,
Uh-huh.
let me come back to you. You say there is political will. You say there
I
is
still insist the political will is
you
there.
say there is investment across the 53 disciplines. I need you to pick one gold medal and say, because of the processes I have supervised or introduced in sports administration, we're able to tap this talent, groom it, until we got a gold
Exactly. Now let me
Give me one.
let me ask you one question,
medal. Before
so
you
that
do-
I can even understand that you are following these things.
Sure.
Do you know how much we pay the gold medalist, the silver medalist, and the bronze medalist?
Mr. Minister, my question is, hold it.
Isn't that
Hold it,
motivation?
Ivan.
He's asking
My
Charles.
question is
Yes.
different. My question is different.
No, it's not different.
Mr.
Because
Minister,
we want to see if
I
we are,
need
we are
you.
serious.
I need you
You're
to force
paying
me.
for the result, and Charles is asking
No,
about
no,
the
no,
process.
no.
If you're paying the gold medal, you're paying for the result. Still not part of the process. And
Mr. Minister,
the process
let me
is
restate
totally
my
different.
question.
Yes.
Can you point to one success and say, we started this process at this stage, we groomed this talent up to here, and we produced a result at the end.
Okay. For instance, let me give you a very good example.
Sure.
Much as we do not bring any medal from Brazil, but at least about 4 of them had started from this arrangement of primary, secondary, up to that level. Secondly, wait,
Allow the minister time.
wait, please.
Go ahead.
This one is saying that we are paying for the process.
You're paying for the result.
Oh, I mean for the results.
Yes.
If those ones who have got gold medals, silver and bronze are being paid, put on the payroll, it's a motivation for others to come up. There are different ways of approaching.
Mr. Minister,
Yes.
I beg your indulgence.
Yes.
That only started the other day after we won the Commonwealth Gold. Or no, actually, it was,
Either it started yesterday or today.
It's after Kiprotich.
Kiprotich.
The Olympic gold in
Yes,
2012.
after we win a gold medal in 2012 at the Olympics,
Yes.
President Museveni announces we'll be paying.
Yes.
Mr. Minister, that doesn't show that you are seriously investing in
But
grooming talent.
how did he come to announce? That means there was a request. That means there was a formula.
Mr.
Even as we
Minister,
talk now,
Mr.
by the
Minister,
way, even the cranes
There was
itself.
no formula. There was
Wait,
an accident.
even the cranes itself, if it was not the delay from FUFA to come with a standard formula, would have started paying them.
Mr. Minister,
Yes.
your ministry licenses opening of educational institutions, and I'm referring to schools.
Yeah.
The biggest and most effective way to groom talent is to tap it at a young age in primary school or
Yes.
in the education system. And people have been asking, what kind of investment, what kind of licensing conditions do you attach to a school supposed to have a ground for recreation activities?
Yes.
In Kampala and surrounding areas, we have seen, under your watch, as minister, sports grounds disappear. Educational institutions emerge without fulfilling the condition of having a recreational ground.
Yes.
Physical education in both government and private schools has all but disappeared. The national cross-country championships that used to groom long-distance runners have all but disappeared. Football competitions in districts, they are run in a very haphazard way, apart from maybe the Coca-Cola post-primary footballing competition.
Which has nothing to do with the
Which
minister.
has nothing to do with
It's
your
because
ministry.
of the
You might-
company that
yes,
funds
you
it.
might be invited to preside over a ceremony, but that doesn't mean that you have been part of the process, Mr. Minister.
Can I respond? now?
Can you be honest?
Can
with
I
us? Yes.
respond? You see the problem we have in Uganda, I think. There are so many people who pretend to be understanding issues, yet they are not understanding them.
Okay.
There is what we call division of labor, which you did at O level in commerce. You got my point? The minister in charge of sports, when it comes to licensing schools, that's not my responsibility. Let's go step by step. Secondly, you are saying we have seen grounds in Uganda and in Kampala disappearing. What is your role? But who is the owner of those grounds? Let me take it, without even going very far. Lugogo is near here.
Yes.
Were those grounds under the Ministry of Education
There were
and
7
Sports?
grounds
No.
at Lugogo.
Were they
How many are
under?
remaining
Were
today?
they under the Ministry of Education and Sports?
What
No,
is
they
your
weren't.
responsibility?
No, let's go step by step so that the Ugandans can understand.
Go ahead.
Who was the owner of those grounds?
You tell us. You're the minister.
Local government, not me.
I'm listening to you.
You got my point. So I have no say when the grounds are going. So when you come,
Are you hurt
and
when
you
they are
are-
going?
and you are saying,
Gentlemen,
Are you
allow,
hurt?
allow
you
the
see,
minister.
Are
Allow
you
the
hurt
minister.
when they are?
please,
Gentlemen,
please,
allow the minister
we
time.
have
Go ahead.
come here to discuss.
Go ahead.
And I don't want to use the bad language because I don't want ignorance to be expressed on me. Okay. No.
It's okay.
If I say,
It's okay, go ahead.
You know, Rands Commission.
you're
no,
the
no,
bias.
wait.
Allow-
There is Rands Commission.
Yes.
There is local government. I can tell you, well, if you prove to me that Lugogo grounds had land titles under the custody of the Ministry of Education and Sports, then I challenge you.
Okay.
You get my point?
So
Before one makes a statement,
have you made your
if
submission?
you go to Tororo, if you go to Kapchora, if you go to any other places where I've seen grounds going, yet I'm pleading, but I don't have the capacity because they are not under me. You should also
so Mr.
understand
so-
that.
so Mr.
No,
Minister.
we go slowly.
Yes.
Because you have said schools being licensed without a playground. Is that a role of the minister in charge of sports?
But you're part of the ministry that
it is the role.
Is that the role?
It is the
It's
role
like
of
you,
the role of the
why
ministry, which you're
it's
part
like
of.
you asking me, why did you get 12 billion instead of 70 billion? Then I'm blaming Bakabulindi. Then if I use it,
That means you can't even lobby for funds.
wait,
No. Allow the
wait.
minister, please.
You know,
Go ahead.
The Baganda have got a saying that atamkute. Now, when you tell me lobby, you go there and see how the lobbying is being done. Go and blame the parliament. It's not me who allocates myself the money.
So,
You
Mr.
got my
Minister,
point? No, let's be
yes,
serious.
you said the
We
division
are
of labor.
here discussing sports
Yes.
and to educate the society. But you're not here to show me that you know more than I know. If you have come to
No,
educate
Mr.
me,
Minister.
then you talk. I listen.
Yes, Mr. Minister.
Yes.
I am just wondering, even for the benefit of our viewers,
Exactly.
when
Because
you
when
wake up,
it's the,
Just hold on.
wait, my namesake.
Yes.
When he's saying it's because you can't lobby. Try to be a member of parliament and go and lobby for whatever you want in your constituency and see if you get it.
Okay, Mr. Minister.
Yes.
For the sake of our viewers,
Uh-huh.
I'm just wondering, when you wake up in the morning
Yes.
and drive to your office of Minister of Education
And
in
in
charge
charge of
the
sports.
sports docket,
Yes.
I'm just wondering what you do, what you put in place to make sure that sports in this country is growing and developing the way it should be. Yes.
It's a combination of so many factors. You can put down what you want, subject it to the top management, subject it to cabinet, subject it to parliament. You got my point? At the end of the day, you may succeed, you may not succeed. That blame should not be put square on you.
So for the viewers watching you,
Yes.
who know that we have a Minister of Education in charge of the sports
sports.
docket.
Who know?
And yes,
You
we
mean
have
the viewer? You are asking
the viewer, yes.
If they
And
don't know that,
no, they know that. I'm saying,
don't they know that Bakabulindi is there?
no, Mr. Minister.
Yes.
And they know
Uh-huh.
that cabinet grew by an extra 3 ministers the other day when the president announced his new cabinet, that we have 4 ministers in the Ministry of Education and Sports. And they're wondering, when you tell them, I am not in charge of licensing, my colleague is. I am not in charge of the grounds, local government is. They're asking, now you talked about
what is the
political will. And you're telling us that, do we need to have a Minister of Sports?
Very much so.
Who does what?
Who is doing whatever he's doing?
What does he do?
No, you see, let me tell you one thing.
Yes.
You see, I've got one problem. I have told you I represent workers. And I'm finding a situation whereby we are not talking at the same frequency.
Because you represent us.
No, wait, because I represent you.
We are workers too.
When you are being employed, there are what you call terms and conditions of service given to you. You are going to do ABC. And if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and for me I feel I'm still doing it, I don't know with that Dick and Tom, we say you have not done the right thing.
Well, we'll be opening the lines for our viewers to share with us
Yes.
what they feel and what they know.
it seems
After a short
the-
commercial break, we'll be right back.
Dick and Tom.
Welcome back to this last segment of the Fourth Estate. And we're hosting the Minister of State, the Minister of Education, the Minister of State for Education in charge of the sports desk, Charles Bakabulindi. Has government abdicated its responsibility towards sports? The minister says no, and he believes that there is political will to promote sports in the country. Let's come back. Now, the bitterness and the anger. Honorable Minister, no one invited you to embarrass you on the show, and we don't intend to do that, because you're the head of this department, and the country needs to know from you, what exactly is it that you're doing, and how can the country help you to do your job better? Now, let me go back
Okay.
to the question. Do you feel frustrated that you cannot do what you want to do for
I will not say that I'm frustrated. I cannot say I'm not satisfied financially in order for me to achieve what I want to do. As you said earlier, you intimated that my budget is above 60 billion, which is correct, and I get 12 billion annually. And I'm running 53 disciplines, and they all need to be funded. That's a fact. But there is hope, because when we sit as cabinet, there is what we call prioritizing. Could be Uganda is not prioritizing the way Zimbabwe or another country is prioritizing. Our journey is start with schools, start with hospitals, start with road, start with electricity. When we have reached somewhere, others will come on board. And I think we are moving toward that.
So sports is not a priority?
At the moment it is, but not a top priority. Yes.
Let's go back to the question of sports grounds. You told us about Kapchoro. There was Soroti, the golf course at Soroti.
Yes.
Tororo.
Tororo.
Yes.
They have these.
Come to Kampala, Lugogo here.
Lugogo here.
There is Mbare for
When
rugby.
When you see all these
the
grounds,
pitch in Mulago has
Yes.
been fenced off.
when you see all these grounds giving way, especially in Kampala, to shopping malls, how do you feel as a minister?
Wait, what we have done so far, we are going to change the Land Commissions Act, which is taking the custodian of all this land. And secondly, we want to see anything that concerns with sports infrastructure to be under the custody of the Ministry of Education and Sports. And this is what is in process. And it has to be done by law.
When will that be?
It will depend when the law will be passed.
You are a member of parliament.
Yes.
Yes, you are a
Being
minister.
a member of parliament does not mean that I'm the one to give the date. I initiate a process. As I told
So
you,
you have
we
initiated the process?
Of course. We initiate a process from the ministry, go to top management, forward it to cabinet, it has to come to parliament.
So, Mr. Minister,
Yes.
is the Uganda Cranes going to Gabon as serious competitors or as tourists? I have had that question asked. And I'll ask it of Dakaba shortly after, because he does more sports than I do, and Ivan does.
As far as I'm concerned, we're supposed to go to Gabon in January as serious competitors. And even today I was discussing with somebody, and I even discussed with the coach, that despite all these problems we have, which we have to come in and see that it's being solved, we want to see the plan. How are we going to have our plan all agreeable for the government? Because we have to prepare our team.
So what kind of investment are you preparing to make?
First and foremost, we have to make sure that we select a viable team. Second, we have to make sure that we prepare it for competition. What do I mean by preparing? To have friendly matches, build up matches, and budget for it, and agree on how much to be involved.
Between now and
January,
January, February,
Yes.
you have the following opportunities.
We have World Cup.
You have the following opportunities.
Yes.
You have a World Cup qualifier, 2 World Cup qualifiers
In October.
on
Yes.
October 8th against Ghana.
Yes.
You have another one in November
Yes.
against Congo Brazzaville. You have a Sekafa tournament in Nairobi. You have is there another competition in between?
No, none really.
Okay.
Should be
Now,
the friendlies there. After.
Ismail, let me put the same question to you. Given the Cranes preparations, given the undercurrents that you as a sports journalist very well know about within the sport, especially the footballing, the football administration and management of the Cranes, do you see the Uganda Cranes going into Gabon as serious competitors?
It depends on the parameters you're going to use for competitors, because there are competitors that would go there to try and win the trophy. Ghana, Egypt, Ivory Coast, and a few others, Senegal.
Why do you say?
I don't
why do you
think
select only those?
we are not in that caliber.
Why?
You have to be very honest about ourselves. We are not going to Gabon because we can win the tournament. But I think many Ugandans would love their team to do well and not get embarrassed in Gabon. And many of us would be glad if the team can make it from the group stages and make it to the quarterfinals, if it does.
The last time we were in AFCON, we went up to the semi-finals.
But
No, actually up to the finals.
Up to the finals.
Yes, we are runners.
But
1978.
everyone refers back to 1978, but you forget that we qualified for the AFCON in 68. We qualified for the AFCON in 72. We qualified for the AFCON in 76. So it was inevitable that after several appearances, there was a path of growth. The one that discovered Philip Omondi from that inter-region tournament in 1973, that there was growth. Now, with the current side, there's a lot of this is the end result, the qualification. So I don't think they'll embarrass themselves. But also I know the problem.
We will embarrass ourselves. We need to own the team.
We need to own the
yes.
team. I don't think Uganda will embarrass itself in Gabon with the performances. Now the thing is that what preparation will do, good preparation, it will push Uganda from a position of getting the minimum standard in Gabon, probably not concede many, get out of group stages after the third game, the same way they did at the Chan. And then thereafter, everyone will go and celebrate the result. Now, what people can do, and people like the minister here, and the FIFA president was on in this same studio on Thursday, is what does the preparation entail? this is something that is
The
probably
minister
not
just told
difficult.
you about selecting the right team.
It's unfortunate that it's sad actually that the minister started to discuss selecting the right team, because I don't think the people in the ministry are technical people who know where to find these players. They have no science, because selection of players is not an administrative role. It's a technical thing.
You just took us through what led to a
78.
semi-final, I mean a runners-up place in 1978
78.
against Ghana, when we could actually have brought the cup here.
Yes.
You talked about 72, you talked about 68, and you said that was a build-up.
Yes.
Cape Verde, from position 183 of the FIFA rankings to number 1 on the African continent?
Yes,
Yes.
earlier this year.
Yes, earlier this year.
The thing is that one of the things I've learned with sport, and I don't want to make it sound very unique, is that there are those accidents. The sport once in a while faces an accident. If Uganda went to Gabon and played in the semi-final, regardless of whether the minister provides 10 billion or provides $10 million, it will be an accident. If you're in the semi-final or the final. Sport has a way of throwing up a thing, but I'm very certain that
Would be like Leicester.
Like Leicester,
To 1 to 5,000.
to have that
chance.
accident where you lose your leg and then lose a hand in football, which is winning unknowingly, there must be a process that even when you win, there is something that serves those who are around the team to know that actually this team, before going to Cape Verde, before going to Gabon, beat Ghana away from home, beat Congo Brazzaville, played a friendly with Ivory Coast and drew with Egypt in a friendly somewhere. Now, those are the things that every sports analyst will look back on and start to inform the public that, you know, they won. If you look back 3 months before they went here, they did this. Now,
There's a
that
chance.
process it only depends on the finances.
Thank you.
There is nothing that FIFA can do without money.
Ivan, sports participation for Uganda at the highest levels, always you have a crisis that emerges at the last minute in the preparations, in the process. Always. You had characters like Michael Ezra emerging out of nowhere trying to put in money.
He puts the man on a tray.
Yes, puts the man on a tray to help a team go and participate. You have a pugilist camp in Kabale. It's the Ezra track team board or something like that.
Yeah.
You have the president and the headline, a screaming headline. President comes to the rescue of the national team. Are those things that can take a serious competitor? Because we started this show discussing, is it by sheer luck that we end up getting medals, or is it by process and investment?
I think from the words of Coach Mitchell in the morning show at KFM, where I usually are, you know, our winning has more to do with improvisation, the resilience, the patriotism. You've got to salute our boys, and indeed the men that the men and women that put in their best to exploit the utmost talent and be able to bring us sporting glory. And if actors like Mitch are telling you the contributory factors are more to do with those that have stated, that means at the level of governance, there's so many gaps which should be addressed. In terms of, for example, how you tap into talent. Somebody, a respectable citizen, just called me to say, actually 90% of the schools do not even do physical exercises, do not even have...
Mr. Minister, is that a statistic you have at your desk?
I'm still listening to you.
And therefore, how do you create a system that has systems and infrastructure in place to be able to have the kind of victory that you registered, like Ismail was sharing, for about almost four consecutive years. But for me, I think, Charles, in a few seconds, we're discussing a much broader governance challenge, and it doesn't help to be harsh to people like the minister, because I mean it's just part of the elephant.
Okay, let me just pick a few callers and then I'll come back to the minister.
I think I need to.
Yes, I'll come to you. If you could listen to the callers, they might raise issues that you need to respond to at once. Do we have a call online? Hello. Hello. Yes. Hello.
Yes,
your name, sir, and where you're calling from? Keep your question or comment brief.
I'm calling from Bali.
You're called who?
I'm calling from Bali.
From Bali. What's your name, sir?
I'm called Patrick Manjas.
Yes, Patrick, go ahead.
I'm listening to the first estate.
Thank you. Greetings to you.
I am a head teacher of a secondary school.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
What the minister is talking is that on the ground.
Mm.
When it comes to sports, let's say sports, it's secondary school that sponsor from ground to national.
Mm-hmm.
Government does not come in.
Mm.
So what the minister is speaking is not on the ground.
Okay.
I also hail from Kapchoro.
Yes, please.
When you look at those medals you get, it's out of individuals.
Mm.
Government only comes at the end.
Mm.
So I think the minister should go back to the drawing board
Mm.
and look at what happened. If they go back to the ground and nurture from the ground onwards, we shall have more medals.
Thank you.
Otherwise, the minister is not on touch. I like the journalists. The journalists are on the ground.
Mm.
I am very happy with the journalists.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do we have another caller?
Thank you.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, my name is Edward Basenge.
Edward?
Edward Basenge.
Edward, yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm wondering what happened to the athletes who represented Uganda, because they no longer talk about it because they never won.
Mm.
So I'm asking Honorable Minister, what did you do to them? Did you give them invite them for some dinner with the president? Did you pay them?
The athletes who represented Uganda, in the Rio Olympics.
They only welcome them when they have won. When they have not, they don't.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Do we have another caller? Hello? Hello? Do we have a caller? Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yes, your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, I'm Martin Kafasta. I'm calling from Kanungu.
Yes, please.
Yeah, the minister is just not sincere. Because what is on ground is really appalling. And him coming to studio and lying to the nation, and Honorable Minister, this is not expected of him. He should instead be full of apologies, apologize to the country for the failures, and tell us the way forward in improving the sports of this country, because that is the way to go. When 76% of our graduates can't find jobs.
Thank you very much. I'll take one more caller, or maybe two. Hello? Do you have a caller? Hello? Hello? Do we have a caller?
Please.
Yes, please.
Yes, this is George from Masaka.
Yes, George.
Well, I've been following the first step and listening to the whole thing. There are very many anomalies in our sports system.
We can hardly hear you, George.
I'm saying there are very many anomalies in the sports system. One thing that you're going to realize is that
Go ahead.
yes. What you're going to realize is that even as people are going to Gabon, you're going to find maybe a bigger official list than even the players themselves. Just like what we had in the
Okay.
There'll be more officials than players going to Gabon.
And the minister needs to check all these anomalies, and instead of maybe being harsh and thinking that the ministry is doing a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think let's do with this because our time is pretty short.
Yeah.
Honorable Minister, all these questions are coming back to you from Mumbale to Kanungu, through Masaka and Kampala. People are asking. You've had the questions.
Yes,
let me not
I've got
interpret
the
for them.
questions.
Go ahead, respond to them.
But before I come to this question, let me first clarify one thing, and which is unfortunate. Is our national team going to Gabon as a tourist or a competitor? And I think we shouldn't be the right person to make such a statement. We are supposed to motivate the team. We have not even reached the level of the team setting to go to Gabon, and we say they are tourists. That demotivates our team. Secondly,
can I contextualize that?
No, let me first finish.
Can I contextualize it before you finish? Mr. Minister, on the fourth estate, and the fourth estate generally, the media, has a responsibility to put you under check from now onwards. You have an allowance of about 5 months to prepare a team that can go and win. And we need to watch the processes. And what we've been discussing since the beginning of the show is to ask, are you actually investing in the preparations that can produce a winning team? It's not that we're not, we're not motivating our team. It's just that we're saying we do not feel convinced by the government that you serve in preparing a winning team.
Okay. Maybe I can just answer that one briefly by saying that we are going there as competitors. Secondly, when my colleague here said the ministry has no technical people to now to select the team, it's very unfortunate.
You're not coaches.
It's not the responsibility of the Minister of Education to select a team. We're not coaches. But we're talking of teamwork. Teamwork in this sense, I'm talking about FOFA, corporates, government, working together and forging a way forward for our team to success. So when we talk about teamwork, it does not mean that the minister will come down and say, I want so and so to be in the goalpost, much as I played football, much as I was the team manager. No. By the way, I don't talk out of a brew. I'm an experienced person in that line. But I'm talking about teamwork. Now let me come to the questions. My brother Patrick from Mbale,
The headmaster.
the headmaster. I don't know which school is that. And he's saying the journalists are on the ground, the minister is not on the ground, they did not do anything. And I told you from the beginning that I waved off 801 students from where? Lugogo. Wait.
But the way thing off is a routine.
Why don't you give me a chance? That's the problem we have.
No,
And I will not blame you because in schools we are behaving differently. Others listen, others talk when the teacher is teaching.
We are listening
and
to
we
you.
end up
So
getting
you end off
different
a team.
results. The question you will be asking, how much dollars per kid were you attaching at the ministry? But since it was not posed, I'm not going to.
How much did you
No, let that headmaster, let that headmaster go and find out if he's a genuine headmaster. By the way, let me tell you one thing, Charles. I'm not a newcomer in Kampala. Even the so-called headmaster from Mbale could be a Chisani person. So when he's talking about nothing, I will leave the home assignment for him. Let me come for the second question. The second question was, Charles, that is Edward. Authorities who represented our country in Rio, what has the government done for them? I like such questions. When I made a statement that I salute those Ugandans, some people jumped on me by saying, how can you salute those people who have not got a medal? I said, the problem we have with you people, you don't even differentiate medals of Olympics, of Commonwealth, of World Championship, of African Championship. And you don't know that 130 countries did not jump out with a medal. You don't know that a giant country like Nigeria jumped out with the bronze. No, hold on. I'm coming to this.
Yes, go ahead.
And the ministry welcomed the team and had a very good lunch with the team at Entebbe. Isn't that welcome? Yes. Because that person was not aware.
Okay,
he
that's
said
answered.
he would not want,
That's answered.
the
Answer
team.
the gentleman in Kanungu.
Kanungu. Ministry is not sincere. I should apologize to the country. I understand English. Apologize what? What apology? You did not go further telling me what I should apologize. That we are sorry, we have not done this. He did not go deeper to tell me.
He's answering. You have abdicated your responsibility.
No, we have not abdicated. Otherwise, all what I'm mentioning, I wouldn't be mentioning it if we had abdicated.
Answer George.
George, anomalies in sports system, more officials than players. You know, some of these answers need technical people. It's not a matter of talking. Let me give you a chance, ask you one question. We took 3 disciplines in Rio. Swimming, athletics, and boxing. Now, if I take one boxer, and by the Olympics is by qualifier, either it is your sister, I mean your son or your brother, if he has not qualified, it does not go. You got my point? Now, if I had taken one boxer, how many team managers was I supposed to take?
How many?
You have to take it as a requirement. You take a team manager, you take a doctor, you take a coach.
You take a coach.
Those are 3. And then not more than the player. You see, this is where some people go wrong.
19 officials to
Rio, you see,
and 21 athletes.
Exactly. No, you go per discipline. What are the requirements?
No, How do those numbers work out?
But since you got the number 21, and you know the officials who went, start calculating.
Okay.
Yes.
We need to get out of here. Our time is out. We need to be finishing this discussion. Yes.
I want to say just one thing, and I picked up from what Ivan said. The Germans have a saying, and I even did post it on my Twitter handle this week.
The Germans?
Yeah.
Not the Ugandans?
Not the Ugandans.
Okay.
We don't have many sayings yet.
Okay.
But
in Uganda, we have so many, I don't know what is your trying.
That they have no sayings about sport.
Go ahead.
That, you know, sports is a mirror of society. Whether you believe it or not, sports is a mirror of society. When you say society that wants, when you see sportsmen who want to cheat, they come from a society that wants to cheat. When you see sports that is run inadequately, they come from the administrators there come from a society
which is
that does not do well with their responsibilities. And some time back, the people within football, when they get all this criticism, someone did give me a very good scenario and said, place Uganda and have an Africa Cup of Nations in Rhodes. Where would we finish? Would we be like part of the 16 countries? We wouldn't. Place Uganda in an Africa Cup of Nations of education. Where would we finish? Now, those are the kind of questions that people in government, I think, should be asking themselves. And while the minister will sit here for 1 hour, even more, and insist that there is political will, there isn't. Political will is seen, it's not only heard. There are things that the government and the minister would do that will represent political will. They are basic things. Okay. Why do you give away stadiums? Why haven't there are promises of repairing Kacheka, Masaka, Mbale Sports Stadium, Lira, Arua, all these haven't been done.
Nakivo,
so what
Memorial,
what political will is that?
Those are in our programs of regional
sports federations have been requesting for just taxes, waivers on taxes on equipment that comes in. What happens? Because this is like the taxes that government gets on equipment through the airport changes the economy of Uganda.
Mentioning that.
Gentlemen,
that is already our
I'm afraid our time is out. We need to get out of here. Just one last word from you, and then we'll close.
You know, I have a very old friend who has a lot of wisdom called Brigadier Kasire Gwanga. And when he's recounted everything that's gone wrong, he usually says, Uganda will be fine. I think there'll come a time when sanity returns. There'll come a time when you have the Minister of Sports who takes criticism as constructive, if they are positive, and not an attack.
If they are positive and not arrogant, I will take
that. We shall have a time in this country when we pay more attention to the things that matter most to our young people, but also us as a country, because the role of sports doesn't have to be underestimated or even overstated. You can't go into the mechanics of how much we can do, what needs to be done. I think that's already been done. What I think for me is wrong is simply management. Okay. And if I was the board of a company called the Uganda Sports Industry, I think so much firing has to be done.
Okay. Mr. Minister, as we come to the end of the show, one general comment really. Previously, we saw talent emerge from across the country. From Bunyoro, we had a Grace Birungi many years ago. People have forgotten. From West Nile, we had an Inzikuru. From Eastern Uganda. Now, running is seen as a sport that only belongs to Eastern Uganda because of natural talent, as the gentleman from Mbale who comes actually, he works in Mbale, lives in Kapchura, comes from Kapchura but works in Mbale, has told us, natural talent. Your tenure at the ministry has been defined by wrangles in almost each and every one of the 53 federations, disciplines that you run. There's been wrangles in boxing at various levels. There has been many wrangles in football. Actually, it is
even
only
in
recently.
Small federations like rowing.
It's only recently. Now, I don't know whether it is Scoreline Limited or FUFA Limited or FUFA that is in charge of sports. You have had wrangles in hockey, in squash,
in rowing, in table tennis.
There's a wrangle everywhere. And you look for the minister, sometimes you can't find him. And you tell us you are serious about processes, you want to produce results.
Yes.
We've talked about competitions. The head teachers, the teachers who used to be sports teachers in primary schools and secondary schools, no. And they're watching you and they're saying, look at our minister telling us things are fine.
Yes.
I want you to give us your closing.
Thanks very much. First of all, let me start by what my friend has said. about tax waivers on sports. And indeed, I agree with you. This is the way forward which we have already put in place. If our colleagues in cabinet and in parliament can accept that, it's going to be a marriage. Because we have friends who want to supply us with sports equipments. The problem has been taxes. Okay. Now, when it comes to Rwangos, during my term of office as a minister, which is an indicator that the sports industry is becoming vibrant.
Is in crisis.
But I want to. But I want to remind you of one thing. I don't know. Either people look at the minister as a micromanager or not. The ministry, let me educate the society, does not play a role in individual constitutions of a body. When they are electing their leadership, shift the blame to those ones who elect the leaders, who end up in Rwangos. The minister does not participate in who is going to be the president of FIFA, who is going to be the president or chairman of tennis, who is going to be the president of boxing. Which role does the minister have? Apart from the minister being called at the last hour that please come and save us, we are fighting, we are dying.
The house is on
mark
fire.
You, even before the minister comes, we have got National Council of Sports, we have got the Department of Sports, we have got various managers, we have got the procedures within the constitutions of the association, which they have to follow first.
Our time is
so
out.
It's not a role of a minister by saying, please today you have elected your leadership. But as a minister, those ones are going to fight.
You appoint NCS that does nothing.
No, it's all right. We need to get out of here.
Just one last question for the minister. The board of
one last question for the minister.
Yes.
What would sports lose if it didn't have someone in cabinet called the Minister of Sports?
That's a good one.
What would
sports lose?
Yes.
If it didn't have someone called a Minister of Sports?
It will lose a lot.
What?
An ambassador in the cabinet to advocate for the interest of sports. Yes.
So this ambassador has seen all the grounds in Lugombe disappear.
Much as you are saying you have not seen it, but a lot of it has been done.
Thank you very much. Our time is up. We need to get out of here. Thank you very much, the Honourable Minister.
Not all the people who have got eyes that see.
Minister of State for Sports. Thank you very much, Ismail Dakama Chigongo. Ismail Dakama Chigongo is a sports journalist with the Daily Monitor. Thank you very much, Ivan Okuda.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you very much to you all our viewers for joining us tonight. Minister, can you allow me to close the show, please? We'll continue the discussion after. Thank you very much to you all our viewers for joining us tonight and always, and especially those of you called in and each one who viewed this show tonight. Have a good night. The debate continues on our